movement in my hand. All right, the bottom could use just a little touching up, but we're gonna move on. All right, once you've got your clay centered, you want to shape it in almost like a fat hockey puck shape, or think of it as like a fat, tuna can, just like this. I'm gonna slow down a little bit more now that I'm all centered, all right? So step 1, adhere the ball of clay to the wheel head. Step 2, center the clay. Step 3, we're gonna drill our hole, all right? You're gonna take your finger, pretend like it's a stiff piece of iron or a stiff piece of wood, all right? It's not flesh and bones and movable. You're gonna pretend it's really stiff. You're gonna come across the top of your clay, just lay it on top, and when you lift up, you should be able to see where the center of your clay is, all right? You're gonna re-wet your hands, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna put that point of your finger right at the center of that clay, and all you're gonna do is lift the angle. You're just gonna lift the angle of your finger and drill down. Drill straight down, all right? You're gonna drill all the way down until you're about a 1/2 inch from touching the wheel head. So you want about a 1/2 inch of clay between the bottom of the hole and the top of the wheel head. You don't want to go all the way through, you'll ruin the bottom of your piece. You also don't want to leave too much clay on the bottom because that makes a lot of work when you're trimming your piece. All right, so finger comes across, I find the center of this, and I'm slowly but surely, got to keep water there, slowly but surely lifting the angle and drilling down. I am not letting this clay take my finger and tell it which way to go. I'm taking my finger super strong and I'm drilling it down like it's a metal tool that cannot be moved, all right? People also do this with their thumbs. That's another way you can do it. You can come around the side and you can drill down with your thumbs. All right, you can find whatever works for you. What's most important is that your hands are not moving, okay? You don't want your fingers to be moving around. You want the clay to work around your fingers, all right? You don't want to be working around the clay, all right? So this hole feels just about right. See if I can take the camera and show it to you here. You want it about a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the wheel head. All right. Next, we're going to pull out the base. So once you drill your hole, the next step is to pull out the base. So you want to widen the bottom. You can do that with your thumbs by holding on both sides and pushing your thumbs outward like that. You can also create a hook with your finger. And I'm right-handed, so my hook goes with my left hand, and my right hand is kind of the motor, and it pulls the hook like this. So you put the hook inside of the hole, and then you pull towards yourself, all right? And that's what opens it up. So you can use the hook. Sometimes I use 2 fingers like that hook. Either way, when you're widening the base, the most important thing to do is pull in a steady, controlled fashion. You don't want to pull too much and then a little bit. You want to keep a steady amount of pressure as you're pulling open the hole and widening the base of your piece. All right. Once you've got the base as wide as you want it, I've got it widened here, and I've still got nice thick walls. So the next step is going to be to pull up the walls, all right? This is my favorite part. There's lots of different ways you can do it. You'll find what works for you, but some people like to use the butterfly grab here, and then they use these 2 fingers and these 2 fingers, and they simply push together and lift up. What's most important is that your elbows are always anchored and you're treating your hands like they're strong wooden or metal mechanisms that aren't flesh and bone and that can move, but that are very, very stiff and strong, and the clay has to work around it. So let's thin these walls out and lift them up. I'm squeezing my hands together thinning out the walls, and I'm pulling them up higher and higher. I'm wetting my hands every round. And each time I make a pull, I'm thinning out the walls of my pot. Now, in general, you want your pot, whether you're pinching, coiling, slabbing, or throwing on the wheel, no matter what technique you're using to create your piece, it's a general rule of thumb that you want your base and your walls to be a similar thickness. So that you can always think about that. And then, of course, you want your walls to be the same thickness from the bottom to the top. All right? So I've pulled, I've thinned out the walls, I'm lifting it up, just like that. And as you can see, my elbows are always locked and my hands are always super stiff. I'm not letting them move around a lot. I'm using them like an actual tool. Your hands are your very best tool in pottery class. We've got a lot of great tools in here, but nothing beats your hands. One thing you want to do is take your sponge, wring it out, and then place it down in the bottom of your piece and soak up any extra moisture. Okay? Take a look at that. A little bit more moisture there to soak up. All right, this is what it looks like when you've thinned out and you've pulled up the walls. All right, and your very last step, okay, is to trim off the bottom, because the top of this wall and the bottom of this wall are not the same width. This is thinner up here. And in general, we want it to be somewhat the same. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit thicker on the bottom, but we want it to be generally the same, all right? So that would be the last step of what you do. So you come around the edge here, and you take a wooden tool. It slipped up a little bit, but that's okay. Take a wooden tool, and you take off a little bit excess on the bottom there so that you'll have less trimming to do when it's time to trim. All right? But I said we were going to throw this until we destroy it. So that's what we're going to do. You would trim off the bottom like that if you're happy with your piece and you want to keep it. But that's not what we're going to do the first time you throw on the wheel with me, all right? You're going to spin that clay, keep your hands wet, and you are just going to pull the walls of your piece until you destroy it. It's really important to feel how far the clay can go, how it feels when it starts to get really, really wobbly, and when it really can't take any more. All right, and the only way to do that is by experiencing it yourself. So you're gonna pull up. See, I'm starting to wobble now. I'm seeing how long I can go without destroying it here. Oh, these walls are getting really thin. Oh, it's starting to lose it. I'm squeezing my fingers together and I'm lifting, pulling these walls up. This clay cannot take much more. Holy cow. It's going down, guys. I think this is our last pull before she says goodbye. All right, there it goes. All right, so this is what I want you to do on your very first throw. All right, then what you're going to do is you are going to take a wire tool. Grab one of those, sorry. And you are going to use this sort of floss method. You've got the wire tool, right? You wrap it around your hands like this and then use your thumbs. And then your thumbs are going to stay connected to the wheel head the whole time, so it's going to be a straight pull through. All right, you don't want to be up and down like this as you're pulling. Your fingers stay on the wheel head. You pull straight through. All right, and then you're going to go ahead and cut your piece in half and take a good look at it. How fun is this, right? You get to really see how thick your walls are, how thin they were. All right, and now you've taken a piece past what it can handle, and you know what that feels like. That's going to happen a lot of times, but it's really great to get used to that feeling right away, first time, so you know. Then as you move forward and you start to keep more pieces, you'll know I better stop here because the clay is getting really tired. All right, so next up I'll show you how to clean up afterwards, but that is your first throw with me in class. All right, awesome guys.